I never thought I would become one of those stories, the kind people read late at night, wiping tears from their eyes, whispering, "This can't be real." But it is real. It's my story. And if I could go back in time, I would tell my younger self one thing: love carefully, because not everyone you give your heart to knows how to hold it. It all started on a quiet autumn evening, the kind where the air feels soft and the world seems to slow down just enough for magic to happen. I met him at a small bookstore cafe, one of those cozy places where strangers become something more without even trying. He was sitting alone, flipping through a novel, his coffee untouched. There was something about him, something calm, something safe. And when he looked up and smiled at me, I felt it. That feeling you can't explain but instantly recognize. "Is this seat taken?" I asked, my voice barely steady. He shook his head, smiling gently. "Not anymore." That was the beginning of everything. We started with small conversations, books, music, random thoughts about life. But soon, those small talks turned into long late-night calls, shared dreams, and laughter that echoed into silence. He told me about his struggles, his fears, his past, and I listened, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I wanted to be the person he trusted, the one he leaned on. And slowly, I became that person. I gave him my time, my attention, my patience. I gave him my heart. He used to say things like, "You're different," and I believed him. He would hold my hand and whisper, "I've never felt this way before," and I trusted him. He would look into my eyes like I was his entire world, and I built my world around him. I remember the night I told him, "I love you." There was a pause, a silence that felt heavier than anything I had ever felt before. And then he said it back, "I love you too." Those 4 words changed everything for me. I gave him more of myself after that, more than I ever thought I could give anyone. I sacrificed things I never thought I would. I ignored my own needs just to make him happy. I stayed up late when he needed someone to talk to, even when I had work early in the morning. I defended him when people questioned his intentions. I chose him over and over again. But love, when it's one-sided, slowly turns into something painful. At first, it was small things. He stopped calling as often. His texts became shorter. He was busy more than usual. I told myself, it's just a phase. Because when you love someone deeply, you don't see the red flags. You see reasons. One night, I called him. No answer. I called again. Still nothing. Hours passed. Then I saw it. A picture. He was smiling, but not with me. He was with her. At first, I didn't understand. Maybe she was a friend. Maybe it meant nothing. Maybe I was overthinking. That's what we do when we're afraid of the truth. We create stories that hurt less. But deep down, I knew. When I finally confronted him, my voice was shaking. "Who is she?" He sighed, not out of guilt, but out of annoyance. "Why are you overreacting?" Overreacting? That word shattered something inside me. "I'm not overreacting," I whispered. "I just want the truth." And then he said it, calmly, coldly. "She's someone I've been seeing." In that moment, everything stopped. My heart, my thoughts, my world. "Seeing," I repeated. "What about us?" He looked away. "It just happened." It just happened. Like our love meant nothing. Like all those nights, all those words, all those promises were just temporary, disposable. "I gave you everything," I said, tears streaming down my face. "Was it not enough?" He didn't answer, because the truth was, it was never about enough. It was about him not knowing how to love, the way I deserved to be loved. I walked away that night, but I didn't leave him completely, because when you love someone deeply, you don't just stop. You try to understand. You try to fix things. You try to hold on, even when everything is falling apart. He would come back sometimes, not with love, but with loneliness. And I would let him, because a part of me still hoped that he would choose me again. But he never did. Not fully. Not honestly. I became a second option, a backup plan, a comfort zone. And the worst part? I accepted it. There were nights I cried myself to sleep asking, why wasn't I enough? There were days I stared at my reflection trying to find what she had that I didn't. Was she prettier, smarter, better? Or was I just easy to replace? But the truth is, something I learned much later. It wasn't about her, and it wasn't about me. It was about him not knowing how to love, the way I deserved to be loved. The day I finally let go wasn't dramatic. There were no big fights, no shouting, just silence. A quiet realization that I deserved more than half love, more than broken promises, more than being someone's maybe. I sent him one last message. I hope you understand what you lost. He didn't reply. And for the first time, I didn't wait. Healing wasn't easy. It wasn't quick. There were days I missed him so much, it felt like I couldn't breathe. There were moments I almost called him just to hear his voice, but I didn't, because I finally understood something important. Love should not hurt like this. Months passed, and slowly, I started finding myself again. I started laughing without forcing it. I started sleeping without crying. I started living without him. And one day, I realized something that changed everything. I didn't miss him. I missed the version of him I created in my mind, the version who loved me, the version who stayed, the version who never existed. If you're reading this and you see yourself in my story, please listen carefully. Don't lose yourself trying to love someone who doesn't choose you. Don't sacrifice your happiness for someone who wouldn't do the same for you. And most importantly, don't stay where you are not valued. Because love, real love, is not confusing. It's not painful. It doesn't leave you questioning your worth. I gave him everything, but in the end, I chose myself. And that saved me. Love doesn't always break in loud, dramatic ways. Sometimes it fades, and sometimes it gets replaced. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months, and I was still trying to understand how someone who once called me his everything could become a stranger. I started blaming myself. Maybe I loved too much. Maybe I cared too deeply. Maybe I gave him too much of me. But then I realized something. Loving someone deeply is not a mistake. Giving your all is not a weakness. The mistake is giving it to the wrong person. There were nights I couldn't sleep. My mind replayed every moment, every conversation, every I love you. I questioned everything. Was it real? Did he ever mean it? Or was I just convenient? One evening, I made the mistake of checking his social media again, and there it was, another picture. Him with her, smiling the same way he used to smile with me, holding her the same way he used to hold me, as if I never existed, as if our story never happened. That moment broke me all over again. Not because he moved on, but because he moved on so easily. I cried that night. Not quietly, not softly. I cried like someone who lost something they could never replace, because that's what it felt like. Loss. Not just of him, but of the future I imagined with him. I had dreams, Dreams where we built a life together, where we grew old together, where he chose me every single day. But those dreams, they were never his. They were only mine. And that realization, it hurts more than anything. One day, my friend sat beside me and said something I will never forget. You're mourning someone who is still alive. At first, I didn't understand, but then it hit me. He was alive, living his life, smiling, loving someone else, while I was here, trying to breathe without him. That's when I knew something had to change. I couldn't keep living like this. I couldn't keep holding on to someone who already let go of me. So I made a decision. Not a loud one, not a dramatic one, just a quiet promise to myself. I will choose me. The first step wasn't easy. I deleted our messages, every single one. It felt like I was erasing pieces of my heart, but I did it anyway. Then I removed his pictures, blocked his number, unfollowed him everywhere, not because I hated him, but because I needed to heal. Healing doesn't happen while you're still holding on to what hurt you. The first few days were the hardest. I reached for my phone so many times, wanting to text him, wanting to hear his voice one more time. But I stopped myself because I knew if he wanted to be there, he would be. Time passed, slowly, painfully, but surely, and something started changing. I started waking up without thinking about him first. I started going through my day without checking my phone constantly. I started smiling again, genuinely. And one day, I laughed. A real laugh, the kind that comes from deep inside. And in that moment, I realized something. I was healing. Healing doesn't mean you forget. It means you remember without breaking. I began to rediscover myself, the version of me that existed before him, the version of me who was happy on her own, who didn't need someone else to feel complete. I started doing things I loved again, reading, writing, listening to music without attaching memories to every song. I started going out, meeting people, living life again. And then something unexpected happened. I saw him. It was a random day. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. But there he was, standing just a few feet away from me. For a moment, time stopped. All the memories rushed back. All the emotions I thought I had healed from came flooding in. He looked at me, and for a second, our eyes met. There was no anger, no love, just distance. He walked towards me. "Hey," he said, that same voice, the one I used to love so much. "Hi," I replied, calm, stronger than I expected. "How have you been?" he asked. Funny question, after everything. "I'm good," I said, and for the first time, I meant it. He nodded. "I'm glad." There was a pause, an awkward silence filled with everything unsaid. "I'm sorry," he finally said. Those words, the ones I once waited so long to hear. But something felt different. They didn't fix anything. They didn't change anything. They didn't hurt the way I thought they would. "Thank you," I said softly, not because it erased the past, but because I had already moved forward. We stood there for a moment. Two people who once meant everything to each other, now just strangers with memories. And then he left, just like he did before. But this time, I didn't break. Because I wasn't the same person anymore. I learned something from all of this, something important. Love should never make you feel like you're not enough. Love should never make you question your worth. Love should never feel like you're begging someone to stay. Real love, it chooses you every day, without hesitation, without confusion, without conditions. I gave him everything, my time, my energy, my heart, my love. And he gave me a lesson that taught me my worth, a lesson that showed me the difference between love and attachment, a lesson that made me stronger. If I could go back, would I love him again? Maybe, because that love taught me so much. But would I lose myself again? Never. Because now I know the right person will never make you feel like you're easy to replace. The right person will never make you feel like an option. The right person will never make you cry yourself to sleep. The right person will choose you completely. And until that person comes, I will choose myself every single day. Because in the end, the most important love story is the one you have with yourself. I sacrificed everything for him, but in losing him, I finally found me. And that is how my story truly ends. Not with heartbreak, but with strength. Not with loss, but with self-love. And if you're reading this, going through something similar, please remember this. You are not hard to love. You are not replaceable. You are not too much. You just gave your love to someone who didn't deserve it. And one day, you will meet someone who does. Until then, be that person for yourself, because you deserve a love that never makes you cry like this, ever again.